Okay. If ever someone needed no introduction, it would be Paul. I'm hearing this imaginary drum roll and trumpet fanfare. I first became aware of him around 1994 or so at the various Tesla Society events, and he emerged very quickly as one of the most competent and really sensible inventors we had. And his whole life has really been invention. I don't even know if he did anything before becoming an inventor, really. I guess you did, but presumably, right? But I'm very, very happy to welcome Paul Pantone.
Thank you. Appreciate that. From 1994, when Steve invited me to the first Global Science Congress, I've tried to go to shows every year, and sometimes that just wasn't enough coverage. So at one point, my last wife and I toured the United States. We drove about 85,000 miles. Never changed the oil in that Suburban because it was all GEETed up. We let a few people borrow that Suburban a couple of times so they could go do testing. And as life would be, they came back and said they had problems with it. And we'd get it back, drive it for a few hours, no problems. We loaned it to other people that got as much as 5 times the mileage. So instead of 8 miles a gallon, they're getting 43 and 45. We normally got about 16 miles a gallon, but then I have a lead foot sometimes. As far as what did I do before I was an inventor, well, I've always been a carpenter, and I've enjoyed building things and replicating antiques. I've always enjoyed owning my own company and doing my own thing. And with GEET, an inventor cannot hold his technology to his chest. Even though he gave it birth and he wants to make sure it's protected, by holding it tight, you smother it. And this invention needs to get out to mankind. In 1983, when I first had the first GEET running, I knew how special it was that if we could reduce pollution all the way to 0, this would help mankind. And I've gone through a lot of relationships. I've always put the GEET ahead of everything. It's been real hard at times. Some of you who have followed me for the last 5 years know that at one point I was incarcerated for 3 months and then put into a mental facility, maximum security, trying to limit my outside world contact so that nobody would notice I disappeared. A lot of people tried to get a hold of me while I was in there, and they called the hospital and was told, "I'm sorry, he's not here." No, we've never heard of him. A lot of the people in this organization here kept trying and trying and trying and helping to put up the resistance, from John and my son over here and John Washenko in here, and all of you who participated in helping me, stand up. Let the rest of the group see how many of you were involved in this. It takes a pretty good-sized person to jump up and down and scream when something like that's happening, because all the people that had cars running in Utah that could have come forward, they quit talking about what they had. There were a lot of people out there that had GEETs going, didn't want to talk about it. They were afraid they might be fingered next. Once I got out, I realized the only way this could really get out to mankind is we had to have a network. And that's what today for me is all about. Is last year I came in here and said we were opening the school. This is a flyer we're passing out at our booth. We're trying to have 100 base dealers in the United States. Right now we're at 58. Once that 100 dealers is signed up under contract, they will be able to go out and set up dealers under themselves. They will maintain their own dealerships and their own networks. They will expand at whatever rate they can. Some will be faster than others, but it will allow the technology to expand. We're doing the same thing in Canada, in Europe, in India. We all have an office now in Belize. We're getting ready to open up in Panama, Guatemala. GEET is spreading. Here in America, we have Larry over here. Stand up, Larry. He represents the GEET Dealers Association of America, which now includes North America. How many dealers are in this room right now that signed up and came in and became licensed? Stand up. Each one of these dealers at the end of this presentation are going to come up here for just a couple of minutes, tell you their names and where they're a dealer at. So you'll get to see who they are, because this is GEET of the future. I can only do so much. I need that army of people out there that can take this knowledge that I've had, that I'm passing on to them, so that it can be passed on to our grandchildren. Technology like this has been hidden for over 100 years. Many people have come up with carburetors that worked. They got bought up by big corporations. In 1998, I had a visit from the Prince of Kuwait. I was given a warning he was coming, so I decided I didn't want to get bought up, didn't want to have any more threats. So when he got there, I let him know that the plans had already been put up on the internet for free. I didn't tell him that, though, until after he held 3 fingers up and told the translator to tell me 3 billion. And I said, I'm not for sale. He laughed when he found out that I'd also released water plans, how to run cars, furnaces, generators, anything you want on pure water. And those plans will not be put out to mankind in whole unless something happens to me. The prince prayed before he left my house to Allah that Allah would protect me and surround me with beautiful rose petals so that if I ever fell, I would never hit the ground. But he also gave me a hug. That shocked his bodyguards and the translator, because they normally will not hug an infidel. And here he is hugging me and giving me a kiss on the cheek. There's something here. They left very friendly and very happy. My employees at the time thought I was out of my mind. If I would have just taken that cash offer and said to hell with mankind, they could have each probably walked away with $1 million and been thrilled. It's never been about the money there. It's been about getting it out to mankind without any company tying it up. In 1998, Mercedes sent their head negotiator over to talk to me. And we cut him off about 15 minutes into his presentation. I said, we're not for sale. And he said, why not? Because I want this to go out to all the car companies, all the people, and I don't like dealing with corporations. I want to work with people. So I'm not interested in your offer. I've had a ball doing it my way, and right now, these 100 dealers that we're trying to build up are only going to happen by continuing the school another 3 or 4 months. And during this 3 or 4 months, we're trying to get 100 U.S. dealers. That'll be that's it. There won't be any more foundation members. We want those 100 dealers to have the assurance that if it ever expands beyond, they're each having 4 dealers under them, that it's their decision to do that, not mine. I don't set prices. I'm not involved in manufacturing or distribution. That's all been turned over to the dealers. The dealers in this room right now are the ones who are manufacturing the products, like this generator right here, that as soon as I'm done and the dealers have talked, we're going to take it outside and run it for you. They didn't have time to get it certified by me prior to getting here. So while we're outside, they're going to prove to me at least 2 of the 5 steps for certification. If they can do that here, I will give them right now their certification so they can start taking orders on that unit today. The demo engine next to it, when he goes out there and runs it for the crowd, and you also get to see it running just like we did for a TV company a few minutes ago, on Mountain, but no, it was Sprite, coffee, and about 30% gas. And clean exhaust, smelled fresh. That was all they needed. It's a new TV special or series they're putting up on a competition for inventors. They're trying to expose the ones that are either real or not real. And I think we convinced them pretty much. Here it is. We also have Amanda and Aaron here from Arkansas. They came in with 5 other engines. One is a closed loop. That means there is no exhaust pipe. The exhaust coming out of the engine is rerouted back into the intake of the engine. They have 2 bikes out there, a 49cc and an 80cc. They have a lawnmower, and they have another special they're going to show you out there. They call it the slave unit. We have other dealers who have built engines for other personal use and other business use that are not here showing off their products. Not all dealers in the association or all dealers who are signing up right now want the publicity or want to be members of the association right now. They want to see this association growing without the political pressures that I've gone through. In 1990, I left California shortly after that, moved to Utah. We built a shop. I met a lady named Molly, and we started growing and growing and growing. We had people from all over the country flying, and a few of you are here today. We got that company going to the point where we could afford to have the trip, tour the country, and prove it worked in every city, every state we went to. We approached every foundation in this country that was listed in the Foundations of America, which is 2,200 of them. Not one of them was interested in anything that worked. They only wanted donations, not solutions. It's been hard to try to work with any organization from that day on because the only thing they wanted was, how much money can you give us? We don't want to help you. We don't want to fix the problem. We just want to talk about it. We like to expose who those people are, and one by one, we have. All my tape recordings of those calls with Greenpeace and the rest have been destroyed by the state of Utah Attorney General's office. When they grabbed me in December 2005, I had almost 200 boxes of documents that seemed to have vanished. There are only a handful left. I have no vehicles from that time left. I have none of my videos. Everything destroyed. But those that tried to help me get out were the ones that helped me get back as much as I could from individuals who had bought copies of the old videos. So we're starting to get it all back. And luckily, a lot of the old employees who, when they heard I'd gone away permanently, they decided they could put the videos up and pretend they're the inventors because they're in the videos. Well, there's many hundreds and hundreds of hours of videos up there right now on YouTube and all over the world. Our numbers on the website are growing daily thanks to David and his creativity on the website. He came up with a couple of cartoon characters for the website that I think are pretty cute, and came up with the idea of green feet going across for the buttons, so you can go to the different departments by tickling the little green feet. We're not leaving carbon footprints. We're trying to do it all green. The dealers we have today have come out to my ranch, gone through the school, and many of them know the training book a year ago wasn't this thick. We've got up to 179 discoveries now. That's why I said we can't use the old pictures. The entire book becomes obsolete, usually 1 week after it's printed. As soon as I have those 100 dealers signed up and those spots sold, I'm going to devote the rest of my life to putting all of this in hard copy. When I came in here and heard Mr. Searle talking, and I'm sitting here going, okay, he had some of this in 46 and 48, that's great, but it didn't do me any good because it wasn't written down anywhere. And all the discoveries I've made aren't going to do anybody in the future any good unless they're printed up and distributed out there. But I think all of you are fully aware, if you come out with a new science book saying, hey, yours is wrong, you're not going to get it into the school district. So this is going to have to be another grassroots movement. Homeschool and people who want to know the truth. So it's going to be an ongoing challenge because this book becomes obsolete every time we find out another discovery. So we may have the first 3 volumes done and find one new discovery changes everything we've already done. But that's up to me to try to get that as a teacher back to all of my dealers as quickly as I can. We have come to these conferences year after year, and it's broken my heart many times that I had hoped to see many other inventions out there doing things like ours in different fields, and just too many of these inventors that have come to my home over the years are afraid to talk about what they've invented. During one of my classes, Byington over here, when he heard that I had a MRSA infection on my lower spine, he loaned me his unit. And I took it back to my room and I put it on my lower spine that night. 4 days later, the doctor inspected my back and said, Biaxin doesn't clear up a MRSA infection. What did you do? I said, something you wouldn't have approved. And I know she wouldn't have. When she heard that originally, when I was released from that hospital, I had hepatitis C. I had COPD. I couldn't walk. I'd been in a wheelchair for 2 years. 2 hours after I left that courtroom, I got off the crutches when I was with Connolly. And he drove me over to another friend's home who's also a dealer, Steve Swanson. And when I got there, I handed Connolly the crutches back and said, I'm going to get by without them. The first few weeks I was free, it took a lot of pain to walk 50 feet. Right now, I can be on my feet about 16 to 18 hours a day, and it hurts a little bit because I still have not got my feet fixed. 4 years ago, if you go to GEETfriends.net, thanks to George Kabori, John, and many other people contributed on that one, you'll see pictures of what I looked like with all my teeth and in good health, about 30 pounds lighter. When they first put me in that facility, I was able to play basketball 3 hours a day. By the time I was leaving there, I'd gone from 160 to 260. No exercise, no daylight, stay in your room. To start with, they drilled out all my teeth, so they were hollow, and one after another, they broke and rotted. They didn't want to give me medication, not unless I was willing to sign the patent over, and a confession that the technology didn't work. There's some pretty corrupt people in that state that shouldn't be in the positions they are. My belief that this is going to get out to mankind was the only thing I had to hold on to there for a while, other than 10-minute calls to some friends. And those were pretty hard to get sometimes. They'd get mad at me and put me in lockup for 30 or 45 days, no calls. Just sit in your room. So a lot of people have said they didn't think they'd be able to go through what I went through. Well, I had a choice. I could have just signed the patent over to them, signed the confession, and what they told me was they'd put me out of my misery. That option didn't sound very good. So I continued for 3.5 years to laugh at them, tell them, nah, not interested in your offer. I got out of Utah and came to Oklahoma. And last year, we started the school up. Didn't have room at the ranch to do it, so we started building a ranch, or a building at the ranch. Right now, we've got 7,500 feet under roof. My brother and I just talked 2 hours ago. We're getting the plaster put on the walls right now. In the next 30 days, we should be putting all the cabinets in, and we have a beautiful 2-bedroom home with a nice shop, which would be the laboratory. So the classes are held at the Chisholm Suite Hotel for the first 3 days, and then we go out to the ranch. Now, although the flyer says it's a 5-day class, it's gotten to the point the last 2 classes, because the book has enlarged, we go through Saturday all day too. If a person can't make it through the 6th day, we give them everything we can by the end of the 5th day, but they're going to miss out on some of the hands-on experience. We want to make sure that the people get a chance to put it on engines of all sizes, so we keep trying to expand as fast as we can. During the last class, 2 classes ago, we had a real nice little black lady who brought her 2 daughters, and a 13 and a 15-year-old girl. And while 2 of the mechanics stood over at one side of the shop saying how hard it was and how difficult it was to understand, These two little girls took 3 engines apart and put them back together and fired them up. The 13-year-old, when I said, how hard was it? She says, oh, any idiot can do that. Well, yeah, you got it. But after that, the mechanics quit complaining, and they had a lot more smiles, and they're going, yeah, you know what? It really isn't that hard. It's not quite that simple, but if all the pieces are handed to you and you take something apart, most likely you can put it back together. They didn't see the complexity of it because the parts were in their hands. But the fact that we've got these little girls at that age coming in wanting to learn this. Now, they don't have the kind of money to be a dealer, but they'd sure like to work for a dealer. So we're trying to set them up with another dealer there in Tennessee so they can go to work and help the guy out and do shows and go to fairs, and I'm sure they'll have a ball and make some money. For years, we donated the right to sell the plans to the Tesla Society, or through Steve, I should say, here with Extraordinary Technology, to help fund putting on these shows every year. A lot of those plans were sold, and the funds were used while I was in that hospital. He helped to keep my website going. But it helped at times to get your flyers out so you could be here. Every now and then, organizations like this do need a little support from the public, and it's hard to find. In my case, I decided I was going to earn every penny of it. I was going to teach, teach, teach. Our student program is set up that if you come out, you will learn how to put it on everything you own. We teach in the classroom how to put it on where it'll run up to 80% water, 20% fuel. That can be crude oil, paint thinner, cleaning solvents, a wide variety of things we call fuel. We also teach a lot of other things that have nothing to do with GEET. So when you leave, you've got a pretty broad education of different things as well. And a lot of the different things we teach you about, we don't try to make a penny on. We just want you to have the knowledge. So we give it to you. We will lead you to other things that we know work, whether it's a machine that'll help you get rid of a problem you have, or whether it's medicine. My doctor asked me when she did that first blood test 3 weeks after I got out of the hospital, I asked her just to do a blood test, tell me if I still have Hep C. She did the blood test and said, you never had Hep C. Your blood's in perfect condition. I said, great. She said, how'd you get rid of it? I said, well, clove oil, cinnamon oil, milk thistle, 5 drops of each one 3 times a day. She said, oh, that's voodoo stuff. Well, I prefer voodoo, thank you. Yep. In all the years of traveling across this country and up into Canada, it's hard to believe that TV stations won't come down and film something like this. But the only way they would come out and give us coverage is if we made humor of what we were doing instead of being serious. Except last year, when we did the show just down the street from here, they did give coverage on the engine, and it's up on our website, but they refused to mention that we were at the conference or how to get a hold of us there. They guided the people to our website, but they didn't want the people to come down and see the show. We did another show with George Gabori in San Francisco. He invited us out there to do the conspiracy conference, ConX. While we were out there, NBC came in, and they filmed George running the engine, and he was running it on crude oil and salt water. I handed the reporter a copy of the letter we got from BP saying, no, thank you, we're not interested. We could have taken the crude oil and salt water as it was being pumped up, put it in holding tanks, and used it for generating with 0 pollution. But there was no interest. I've been fighting for over a year to get my driver's license, and I still don't have a driver's license, so Nancy over here is my assistant. Nancy, stand up. She's taken time away from her children to drive me across this country and back to this show and back. She's given a lot to help me to get out here to see all of you and be here on time. People like her are rare and hard to find, but so are a lot of the dealers. They have come in with their hearts filled with love and they want the knowledge. But the knowledge won't do you any good if I overload you. And I guarantee you, I don't think anyone in this room can go through this whole book in 3 days with me and know it. You're going to have to read the book over and over, or you're going to have to email me once in a while when you have a problem. If you don't, you're not going to get your engine to run right. You're going to have problems. There's no way I can teach it all so that everyone in that room is going to understand everything that I'm saying. Years ago, one of the teachers I had described something to us as a class and asked us to write what she had just talked about. And later, when she read back some of our responses, it was really funny because some of the students didn't have a clue of what she was talking about. And where she had been talking about a simple device you find in a kitchen, somebody thought it was a garage tool, other people thought it was something that fits in the back of the car. She was trying to describe the parts of a toaster. And she used the best words she knew how. I've had better luck at times teaching when the students don't speak one word of English, or they only speak Hindu, Chinese, German, or Russian. They pay attention to the books, they pay attention to what I'm drawing and what I'm writing down, they write it down, they can go out and build it, and they have less questions. Now, in several of the classes, Amanda was attending them, and she wrote notes, and a lot of the other guys didn't. So they, can I buy a copy of your notes? I remember that from school. There was always one person in there that had good notes. Well, Amanda was one of the best students we had in there that would do that. She wrote down everything she could to make sure she got the details right. But no matter how good you are, if you get distracted occasionally here and there, you might forget something you wrote down, so you have to go back and look at the book and look at your notes. Today is not about Paul Pantone going forward with GEET technology as much as it is the GEET Dealers Association of America and the GEET Dealers of the world taking this technology now to the next level. Before I turn the floor over to the dealers, are there any questions for me? I don't see any hands. Does anybody have a question for me? Yes. What is the most...
What is the most powerful engine you've put it on?
That was running on crude oil, paint thinner, cleaning solvents, a variety of fuels. And Fox did come out and film that. The day they came out to film that particular engine running, we had about a quarter of an inch of ice on the exhaust pipe on an 83 day. Any other questions? Oh, we got one over here.
Tom Quinn. Could you talk a little about how you got interested in this and how you evolved the technology and how it all came to be in the beginning?
Yes. That's a tough one.
In the beginning, the earth was formless and void.
1975, I just moved into a new shack, and no one knew my phone number yet, except Nate. Power had just been turned on, and I was in my front yard building some picnic tables, and the phone rang. One of the picnic tables I was building, I had rounded one of the corners on it because it had a knothole right on the corner. And the woman at the other end said, "Hi, Paul, this is Mrs. Cunningham. I'd like to buy that rounded picnic table you're making for me." got a pencil handy? I said, yes. Well, I started writing down her address and directions. The direction she gave me was, go out of your driveway, turn left. Go to the corner at Elkhorn and turn left. Go down to Watt Avenue or Madison and turn right. Go to Watt Avenue and turn right. She gave me directions as if she was standing in my house and knew where I lived. Only my wife and I knew where I lived. Didn't bother me. I wrote it all down, and she hung up. I loaded up the picnic table after I finished rounding off the other 3 corners and brought it over to her. Once I got there, she did about 10 or 15 things that kind of rattled me. She managed to move from the front of where my truck was to the inside of her house, looking through the sliding glass door, and the time it took me to take 2 steps, and she went about 100 feet. And she invited me in and told me she had my check sitting on the table. I went in and got the check, and she told me to sit down. We had to have a talk. And I said, no, I'm in a hurry. She said, no, you're not. You don't have anything else planned. Sit down. I said, no, I'm really in a hurry. She said, no, you're not. I said, yes, I am. She said, I have a message from God. Sit down. With that, I sat down, and she proceeded to remind me some things I did as a kid when I was 6, 7, 8 years old that I wasn't too proud of. And the time I stuck gum in my sister's hair, didn't mean to. I put it over on her pillow so it looked like she was chewing it, not me, and she happened to roll over in it. And Mom had to cut her hair off the pillow. She reminded me I accidentally burned down a place. I was 9 years old. She proceeded to tell me a whole bunch of other things I did, like smear peanut butter all over cop cars, steering wheel seats, and door handles on the inside. I didn't like the guy. He didn't like me either after he got back in his car. She knew details that no human being should have known. That's when it really started clicking on me that she knew details about where I lived, how to get there. She knew my name to put it on the check. She knew I was going to charge $39.95 for the table, and she gave me an extra $10 tip on the bottom. She knew everything that was going to happen before it happened. And then she told me I had done a few other evil things, and I said, whoa, stop, stop, stop. I got to correct you there. I did not do that. She looked at me and she says, you thought it. Yeah, I thought it, but I didn't do it. So she told me a couple more things like that. And I stopped her again and said, I did not do that. She said, but you thought it. An evil thought is just as bad as an evil deed. Well, when she said that, I sat way back in the chair and said, oh, I'm in deep doo-doo. She said, yeah, you are. She said, you asked to come back and do something for mankind. Your job is to help clean up a planet. And you haven't been doing your job. You need to concentrate more. But before you can be accepted to do that job now, you're going to go through 7 years of hell. She says, you'll know the 7 years of hell is over when you've lost your wife and your son and everything you own. And all you leave with is the clothes on your back and the car you're driving. She proceeded to tell me the next 14 years of my life after that, too. I was pretty scared. I just wanted to get out of the house, but about halfway through her little mini lecture, I asked to go to the bathroom, and I noticed the wallpapering in there and the angels and crystals and everything on the shelves over the toilet. And I was really thinking about running out the front door on the way back to the dining room. But something told me to stay and listen to the rest of it. She told me the 21 years that she was giving me knowledge on would be over when scientists would kneel before me in Congress seeking knowledge. Well, 7 years to the day, right to the minute, I come home with my son from a fishing trip, and my wife walks up to my car there and she says, no need to get anything else out of the car. I don't want to be married anymore. What? She says, you want to play with all your inventions and things? And You like being around happy people, and you need a good-looking lady in your life. And I've gained a lot of weight. I really don't. I don't want to be married. I don't like being married. Why don't you leave and go find somebody who'll make you happy? I looked at my watch and I started thinking, wait a minute. You got it. She says, that easy? I said, if you want a divorce, that's fine. Because I recognized it was 7 years right to the minute. She says, well, we're going to split everything down the middle. I said, only if I get the right half and you get the left half. I want every horse freezer wrapped. I want the car cut in half. From the front side, I don't care. I want half the car. I want half of everything, or you keep it all. She said, okay, I'll keep everything if that's the way you want it. I said, yep. Because Mrs. Cunningham had told me that I was to leave with what was in my pocket, what was on my back, and in my car. And I did. She had told me I would have inventions that would help mankind. And that if I pursued these inventions to help mankind, God would bring me many hundreds of inventions more. She said, you'll always be known as Paul the Carpenter, but you're not to use that name until 7 people have come to you and identified themselves with a first name and their occupation. Those 7 people did come to me. They made that identification, and when I told them my name was Paul the Carpenter, they said they had an additional gift for me, and all 7 of them have been given to me. Each one was a different invention that deals with energy. The GEET marketing group will be the way that all of these products will be getting out to mankind. But she told me from that point on I would be known as Paul the Carpenter, but I would be a teacher. I was to put my pouch down, not build, but teach. Several times we've run into crooked groups, and I've had to take back over manufacturing and distribution and trying to get product out to the dealers. And each time I got stopped by government, slammed to the ground hard. The last time, 3.5 years, falsely imprisoned. So I'm not manufacturing anything. The dealers are. I don't distribute anything. The dealers do. I teach. That's what I do. And that's what I do best. Mrs. Cunningham had told me that I have to be here a long, long time to get this job done. And I shouldn't have to worry about it. I didn't question her on what she meant for a long, long time. But being the curious person I am with hundreds of my own inventions, after that first 7 years, I found the checkbook that I'd written her address in, and the bank stamped it. I could prove I was there. I went back to that house, and I found out that house hadn't been built yet. It wasn't built until 3.5 months after I was in it. But when I knocked on the door and said I'd been there and I wanted to see Mrs. Cunningham, and the guy said, no, she's never lived here. We're the only people who lived in this house. I said, no. I was here. On this date, there it is, marked in my checkbook. I was here. I met Mrs. Cunningham. You got a blue marble piece over the mantel. The mantel's blue marble. The kitchen counter is formica, green and blue speckles in it. You got a great big dining room table that's got a crescent-shaped gouge in the leg over in the back corner. You got little crystal and bell 3 glass shelves over the toilet, and you've got these god-awful looking yellow and orange daisies in the bathroom. He said, come on in. Well, I walk in, I look over, and he says, is that the mantel? I said, that's it. He said, it's only about a month old. A month old? He said, yeah, the original one is wood. And my wife and I went to Disneyland with the kids a little over a month ago, and we left her brother in here, and he burned it with a candle. Oh. I said, that's the counter. He said, couldn't be. I said, there's a place where a handsaw hit the edge of the counter when they were cutting trim or something. It's about a foot from the wall. And I went in there and I checked the edge of it, running my finger. I said, right here. He went in there and he said, well, my brother-in-law was helping me put the mantel in. I guess he missed the wood and hit the counter. But that's a brand new counter. I said, what do you mean brand new? He said, we just had that put in 3 weeks ago because he burned the other one with a hot pan. I look over, and there's the dining room table. I said, that's the table I sat at. Mrs. Cunningham sat here. I sat down there, and there's a big gouge in that leg. He said, no, there isn't. It just came back from the antique refinisher. So I slid down the edge of it looking, and sure as heck, there's a big gouge in there. I said, there's the gouge. And I stayed 4 feet away from it. He came down and looked at it, and he says, so that's why he told me the table had to go in this way. He said the grain looked better. Yeah. He said, would you like a drink? I said, yeah, I think I could use one. You're telling me this table wasn't here? He said, no, we just bought that at an auction a few months ago before we went to Disneyland, and while we were in Disneyland, we had it refinished. He said, but you're going to want to sit down now. So he hollers for his wife to come down. She's at the other end of the house, and he says, bring the metal box with the papers on the house. And from the far end of the house, she's saying, is it another insurance salesman? He said, oh, no, it's a lot better than that, hon. She comes down from the far end of the house, puts the box up on the counter, and she backs up. And he sees me looking over. He said, are those god-awful looking yellow and orange flowers? I looked over and said, yep, those are the ones. She was wearing a little apron. And the wallpaper she had just put up in the bathroom were those flowers. They had just bought the wallpaper that day. I went down the hall, looked in, go, yeah, this is what I really needed. So this wasn't here 7 years ago in 3 days. It couldn't have been. He said, oh, just a minute. Do you remember the shower curtain? I said, yeah, an angel on it. He said, like that one on the bed? Still in a wrapper. Yep. He said, now those shelves, did they look like those shelves in here? And he turns the light on us. Yep. Still in the box. 3 glass shelves, plastic shelves, 2 chrome poles. And he said, now, are these the bells you saw in the angels? I said, yep. Did you remember the order? I said, yeah. Big ones, small ones here, and I put them all in line. I said, that was the first shelf, second shelf. You're missing a big one. And he says, and he has an Avon book with 2 angel lamps. He said, which one? I said, the one on the left. They hadn't even ordered it yet. Mrs. Cunningham said I would bring more people unto God without a Bible than I could if I had a collar. And I kept questioning all the things she said while she was saying it, saying, lady, I smoke, I drink, and I cuss. You got the wrong guy. I'm sure there's a mistake somewhere. She said, no. You are here to learn and teach. You cannot share wisdom unless you've made mistakes. And if those mistakes are what you used to teach with, then they weren't mistakes. They were the gathering of wisdom. Go teach. Well, she had my full, undivided attention for an hour and 45 minutes. And when I left there, I didn't want to tell anybody what I'd gone through. I didn't tell my wife. I didn't tell anybody. I just figured somehow this was the spookiest thing that ever happened in my life. But when she told me that 7 other messengers would come to me, and they did, it's kind of hard to argue when you're talking to somebody and you turn away and you look back and they're gone. And the only door to the room's the other way. There's no way to get by you. So, I've had a lot of visions in my life. I've seen a lot of things long before they happened. Many of the inventions I dreamt of when I was 5 and 6 years old, I still have not built to this day. But I know how to build them. And when it comes time for me to build them, I will build them. But I'll build them so that I can use them to teach. So as far as what motivated me to do it, I believed I could. When I was told I could clean up this planet, I didn't have the limitations of scientists and engineers and automotive people. I'm a carpenter. If you look back at some of the first units we built, they had wooden intakes. How many of you have seen wooden carburetors? I was famous for that one. It's really fun when you open that hood up and the mechanic looks in and is shaking their head going, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. That does not compute. it can't work, and you start the engine up. And they'll slam the hood and walk up going, you can't do that. That's impossible. If you believe you can do something, you can do it. Are there any other questions at this time? If not, we're going to get on with the Dealers Association here. Okay. To begin with, let's bring Larry up here. You've got 10 minutes, sir.
10 minutes.
Can you do it in 10 minutes?
I can certainly do my best.
And then introduce the next person.
I'm not even sure who's next. Well, welcome all today. Quite honestly, it's a little bit of a surprise for me about what I'm going to talk about. Paul said, you're going to go up and you're going to talk today. So anyway, my name's Larry B. I am the temporary head of the Dealers Association. Basically, it's a voluntary organization. And what we do is we help dealers in the North American area come together as a whole, discuss GEET issues within a forum for other GEET dealers, and basically resolve any kind of issues of whatever may come up, putting out products, how we want to be in the public, and so forth. There are dealers out there, as Paul says, 58 dealers. Not all of them are participating in a way of selling product. I think we have about maybe 6 dealers right now that have some kind of product to be selling. So with that in mind, well, let me just ask. First of all, let me just say, if nobody has been to the GEET Dealers Association website, that we do have a website. It's a small, simple one. It's www.geetdealersassociation.com. I'm not sure what we have on it because we keep on adding new stuff. I know there you can sign up. We have a mailing list, and then as we send out information, we'll send it out all to you. I don't think we're sending out anything at this time, but we are just collecting email addresses. However, if you do want to find a GEET dealer in your area that has possibly something like this, a universal kit or generators or so on, you can go to the website and you can do one of two things. You can look at the website, and there should be a map up, hopefully this weekend, that will show all the participating dealers and the kinds of things that they're selling or how they're participating and where they're located, as well as a way to contact them. If you don't find a dealer in your area, you can send us an email, and we'll take that email and we'll send it to the closest dealer that has something that they're currently selling or a service that they're providing that's closest to you. Because not all dealers are participating at this time, it may mean that you might be down in Florida, but the closest dealer might be Arkansas. Even though we may have dealers in Florida, they're just not participating at this time, just so you should know. What else can I tell you about the Dealers Association? Well, I can say that we all went to the dealers, we went to the school to learn how to create a GEET, build GEETs, and so on. And it was a lot of fun learning. We also got a chance to meet each other. But there's been so many schools now that when we do have our calls, dealers usually identify themselves. I went to the 3rd school, the 4th school, or December school, or January school, and I'm from this area. And that's how we've been learning who the other dealers are and so forth. All the dealers, you know, Paul does have a master list, and he does tell us, yes, this is a legitimate dealer. And what you can expect from the dealers who are participating is knowledge. You know, they've gone through the school, they have worked with the GEET technology, they have built generators, they have built, God, all kinds of things. And they've done all kinds of things. You know, they've run GEETs on closed systems that, I mean, can you imagine the engine's running and it's a closed system, the exhaust goes right back into the intake and so on. They've run on salt water and I guess crude and so forth. There's just a lot of interesting GEET technology that's out there that the dealers have tried, and there's a lot of feedback to us, but they're great to talk to. A little bit about myself. I'm located here in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I'm one of those GEET dealers that don't have anything to sell. But here today, there are GEET dealers that do have something to sell. As a matter of fact, for all those who are interested, we do get a lot of inquiries. This is a GEET product from NewerTech, and that's NEWRTEK, newertech.com. GEET dealer's name is Steve Casey. This is a universal GEET kit. For all those who have looked at the GEET plans, let's see, you have to have your tube, I guess, so I'll call it a tube. And this kit comes with your stainless steel tube. It doesn't have a ridge in the center. That's really important for airflow. Comes with 3 of your rods, okay? And you know, your rods will fit precisely the way they should, the way we learned in class, with the right tolerances and so on. Again, I didn't say this is stainless steel 304, okay? Stainless steel. Goes together. What makes it unique for a kit is that once it goes together, you now can turn it any way you need to turn it with and hook it up to your flange and so forth, and well, it's adjustable and so forth. And I presume it gets welded together and so forth. There is a show special. Instead of it being $399, it is $375. You can order it through any of the dealers that are here, but you can also go online and order it. I believe the show special will run till the end of August. However, to get the show special, you also have to mention one of the dealers that you met here, okay? So it could be me or any of the other dealers. They just need to know what dealer you heard it from. So please mention one of the dealers' names that you might have met, and you'll get the show special at $375. Let's see, what else can I tell you? Well, that's it off the top of my head, unless there's some questions. And I can't see anybody's hands raised. I'm not sure what dealer we should have come up next, or... Oh, okay, yes. Yes.
Also, this kit, for the millions of people around the world that downloaded the free plans from 1999 till now, this is the reason for this kit, is millions of people who couldn't find the parts they needed. Here they are. Tell you 2 of those, if that's okay. Yeah. We're going to introduce the dealers. I'm going to get back first into the school thing, then I'm going to bring all the dealers up that want to come up.
Very good.
And introduce themselves.
One last thing about the kit. This will save you hours and hours and hours of development time. Yes, question. The website, it's NewRTech, NEWRTEK.com. Yes. Other questions?
There is a link to that on the GEET Dealers Association.com.
I haven't looked, but there could be, yes.
There is.
Okay, there is. All right, thank you very much. Oh, yes. Got that.
Thank you, Larry. The school sheet that was up, it's not up now, but we're going to have 3 more classes coming up, a week long. If you can stay through Saturday too, add 1 day onto that. The rate for the class is $3,000. Anyone who signs up before they leave here tomorrow night or Sunday night and prepays will get it for $2,500. We do have 2 people here who actually paid for their schooling. One is 15 years ago, and yes, that money, your money is still good, and yes, you're coming to the school. We have another one, I think it was only 11 years ago. He's here. You're also coming to the school. You don't have to worry about your fees. You already paid them. Anyone who paid for a product back then paid for the product. They're going to get it. I'd like to start introducing the dealers. I'm going to say, Amanda, you want to come first? Yeah, come on. Amanda Wallace attended the first 6 or 5? First 5 classes.
Hello. As you said, my name is Amanda Wallace. I attended the first GEET class back in August during the week of the 20th. On the 20th is actually when I received my license, along with several other members of my organization called Central Arkansas Alternative Fuels. As Larry had mentioned, there might be someone from Florida who particular wants to inquire about some GEET products, and as you had mentioned, you may get sent to someone in Arkansas. Well, that just so happens to be our company. We are in Central Arkansas, but we do offer services and products to the entire nation. So if we do get an inquiry from someone who is around, we offer full support as well as anything that you could possibly imagine GEET-wise. We have a variety of products ranging from parts and components to lawnmowers, demonstration units, you name it. You can check it out. Our website is CAAFUELS.com. It stands for Central Arkansas Alternative Fuels. I'll repeat that one more time. CAAFUELS.com. I'm glad to see you all here today. It's very nice to see all the support that we get. As Paul had mentioned, I did attend the first 5 classes. I can say I enjoyed it thoroughly. I had the opportunity to meet and work with all of the dealers and become very knowledgeable in GEET and GEET technologies. One of the things that our company does is development and research towards furthering GEET and GEET technologies. We have several units to display. You could see us afterwards if you'd like. We have them sitting outside. There are a couple products already up here. So I hope you all enjoy the rest of this conference.
Mr. Dunlap. This generator here is from his company, and he will do his introduction.
Hi, I'm Steve Dunlap. I live in the Houston, Texas area. I have a partner back here, Jeff Williams. We've been working on this for about a year, and this is really the first one that we're ready to bring to market. It runs at full capacity. I will say in Houston, it runs at fully rated capacity. We brought it up here and have had a couple issues getting it going, but we made a carburetor change this morning, and it's back up running pretty good. We haven't done the max test on it, but we're going to do it out here after everybody breaks up. But anyway, we've enjoyed the last 12 months of working with Paul, and we talk to him on a regular basis. And we also, our goal really is to deliver a generator like this and others to the dealer network to resell to the general public. I know some of y'all are going to want to actually do all your own experiments, and that's fantastic. For those of you that don't, we hope to be able to provide you with a marketable product that you can turn and resell. So anyway, thank you for coming, and we'll be showing this afterwards.
Now, Steve, there's one more thing there, Mr. Dunlap. As soon as we're done talking here, we're going right out, and we're going to try to get this certified tonight. We need to see it run and hit at least 2 of those marks that we need. We want to see less CO. We want to see increase in oxygen. We want to see clean exhaust. Some of the things that are needed, that are required, that proves that the GEET is working. So right after we walk out of here, it's straight out there for test. The next model we're going to be running out there. Come on, Paul. Paul is with the GEET guys. He's out of Reno, Nevada. He recently did a show with his partner, Ann George Gabori, for NASA. And they had about 75 physicists and physicist students that were blown away, had never seen anything like this run before. He'll be demonstrating that, but it's yours.
I'm not the public speaker of my group anyways. He's in Disneyland today. But I will be demonstrating this motor running on whatever the crowd out there gives me, soda, water, some gas. You'll be able to see this unit, and it'll run with no smoke, put white rag in front of the exhaust, and come out clean. So that's what I'll be doing right after we're done with this in here. But yeah, I'm part of the GEET guys. There's 3 of us. I'm out of Reno, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Now, if all the rest of the dealers would like to come up this direction, Byington, all the other dealers that would like to come up, introduce yourselves and say what city you're from, so that the rest of the audience will know who you are and where you're at.
I'm Byington Sims. I live in Bisbee, Arizona. And I'm Byington Sims, and I live in Bisbee, Arizona. And I'm the inventor of the electrolytic bath machine that he used and cured his MRSA. And we took the class and we got the dealership. We haven't done much with that yet because now I just saw this rack. I want to get that, and I got a generator just this size to put it on. And I want to get started on that pretty quick, and as well as working on some other inventions. So if anybody wants to get together with me after the class, tonight I'm going to be demonstrating my invention in the hot tub after, between 9 and 10:30. I'll be out in the lobby first, and so we can do that. And I guess that's, well, that's all I have.
We do believe Grassroots helps, so we want people to have whatever they normally do at the same time. That's why we have CAAF, we have different people sell different products at the same time. And when you come to our school, you're going to learn about azomite, you're going to learn about a whole bunch of different products that you may never have heard of.
Hello, I'm Tom Banks, and I'm from Las Cruces, New Mexico, and I attended the GEET class in September last year. And I've been collecting information with all the activity, like Amanda and Paul. They're really making good contributions, and with newer tech and the parts available, we can be able to serve all those who are interested in building a GEET for themselves or getting maintenance and services that they need. Right now, I don't have an open dealership, but that should be this fall. But I'm in southern New Mexico, so if you're down in that area, we'd be glad to contact you or talk with you, and you can reach me through the GEET Dealers Association. Thank you.
Now here's one of those the lost guys that I said we couldn't find for years. How long ago did you get in? Henry?
Oh, I don't know. We've known each other 20 years.
Yeah, about 20 years. But he wanted the dealership way back then. When all my papers disappeared, I couldn't reach him. He showed up one day and I said, "Oh, you're a dealer." Yeah. Here he is.
I'm Henry Curtis. I live in Tucson, Arizona. I'm working with a partner, Larry Beckert, in Apache Junction, Arizona, where our shop is. And we are developing a generator set, full-sized 80 model Chevy V6 engine. Presently, it's coupled with a 20 kilowatt generator. And we've been working on this a couple of 3 days a week for about a year now, probably 8 months, not quite a year. And we haven't quite got it running as well as we'd like, and we're still working on it. And if we can help any of you, we'd be happy to. Thank you.
I'm Randall Santler from Las Vegas, Nevada. Right now, I'm not currently on a website or phone number, but you can contact me through the GEET Dealership Association. I am looking for somebody in my area to help further GEET in my area. So thank you.
Come on, Vince.
I'm Vince Ochanashik. I'm from Golden, British Columbia, Canada. For any of you who are Canadians, so then I'll be able to maybe share some things I learned from Paul and others. I'm more concentrating on self-sufficient housing to be able to get off the grid. And also, as I'm a sailor, I try to introduce this to marine, not industry, but pleasure crafts, because we are sailing in a fuel. So that should be good for anyone sailing. Thank you.
Once we have some little green stickers on these units saying that they have been tested in one way or another, they meet the GEET logo, we will be taking orders for any and all products direct through the GEET Dealers Association or through the manufacturers. We're going to go ahead and take this entire group out now and start giving demonstrations right out the side door there.
Paul! Single camera shoot. When you're demoing equipment, you want it to be far away because it's noisy. You always want the emitter up close.
Okay.
That's only a single sound source.
Okay.
We'll come in close when the emitter is talking, and then we'll pan out when the next one comes in.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
So we're going to start. Which one do you want to start with?
Are we live yet?
This is Aaron Barraza. Aaron Barraza. He'll be demonstrating his.
This is our 50cc coupled to a bicycle, and my brother here is going to get it running.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's go.
Does about 35 miles an hour on the road, and it's getting way over 100 miles to the gallon, so we're pretty happy about it.
What are the contents?
Yes, ma'am?
What are the contents?
Straight gasoline. We just put gasoline here.
Straight gasoline.
Yes, that's all this one does. We can do that one over there. Yeah.
Okay. He's not ready yet. Do you have another one ready?
Yeah.
This one here.
It's got 2-stroke on it. It's 160cc carburetor.
Can you walk them around?
You can
Explain
actually see the original carburetor that sits here. It's big, bulky, nasty. I left it there just for display purposes. The heat actually comes around here. If you can see it, we actually have a 43cc carburetor powering the whole unit. Uh-oh. But so the actual fuel intake is now about 80% of what it used to be. And we'll see how well this thing runs. At a zero ground level, and we're way at a different level here, so I think this one's got way too much fuel to it. We might have to change that. Other than that, this one here is made to produce power. This one doesn't power anything, but it makes fuel on demand. It gets connected back here. From here you can see its dual heated system. This actually powers the engine here. And our choke valve is here, our exhaust is here. Comes in and we can plug in any fuel source we want. I'd be a turkey fryer, a vehicle, furnace, or anything you want to see. You want to bring the bubbler for this, Amanda? It believes in the Jeep. Yes, sir.
This is the one that produces more fuel than you
Yes.
can use. Well, you need distance?
I'm not gonna run this one.
Oh, okay.
Not starting
Okay.
this one.
Okay.
I'm not starting this one. That one. Where's the other one at? My 8 horsepower.
Go on. We'll go ahead and fill this one. Give you a short break.
Want me to do the demo motor?
Yeah, pull it out in the open air a little bit more where you can explain things as you're going.
Coffee, whatever you want to run in this thing.
I'll bring you some juice.
All right. So what I got here is a fuel bubbler. This is what we're going to put our fuel in, whether it be water, soda pop, a little bit of gas. Throw it over here.
Can it be diet soda?
Doesn't matter. Yeah, anybody has a packet of sugar, I'd like one of those. Soy sauce, I don't care what you got.
How about my strawberry kiwi drink?
Strawberry kiwi drink would work fine.
All right.
Okay.
I'll give you some of that, but
So wait, before you want to put that in there,
Okay.
there's a line on my jar. And the only reason I have a line on there is so I can see kind of a ratio of what we put in there compared to what we're using as far as
Tell
gas.
me when to stop.
Keep on going. That's good. So I got his kiwi strawberry drink up to the line. We're gonna add this to the bubbler. Next, I got some good old Dr. Pepper here. We're gonna add the same amount of Dr. Pepper to it.
Take a drink of it first.
Wait, no, wait, somebody else's. Whose was this?
Mine.
Here, he can drink it.
It's pretty good Dr. Pepper.
All right.
Looks like gasoline.
No gasoline.
Okay, so we got Dr. Pepper to the line.
Now we call this fun fuel.
Looks like I got a little bit of water sitting over here on the ground.
Oh yeah, good.
Some water.
Vodka, I can smell it.
Ice cut it with gin. They can't tell the difference.
Okay, so we're gonna put some water in there too. Up to the line. Has anybody got sugar by chance? Packet of sugar?
I do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Every engine loves sugar.
Yeah, right. What are you talking about?
Was there anything in there already?
There's steel wool in there.
Steel wool.
Yeah, that's just because we don't like liquid to get into our GEET. We just want vapors only, so that keeps the bubbling action down at the bottom so it doesn't get any liquid in the GEET. So we're going to add a little bit of sugar. And we like to add a little sugar because we like our GEET sweet. And we're going to add a little bit of regular old gasoline.
Drink it.
Yeah, drink this one.
You want to drink them?
Same amounts. So it's about a quarter gas in there, along with everything else that's in there now. So we're gonna put our lid back on. Shake it up all nice and good, get it all mixed up there.
Make sure the sugar gets in this.
Yeah, gotta get that sugar in there. All right, and hopefully it'll start on the first pull.
How long would that last? How long would that last?
Can we fire that up one more time here? You've got 116 coming out the tailpipe right now.
With that amount of fuel?
Coming out of the engine, we had 200 degrees.
Well, you can
And at
see
the
it.
center of the reaction chamber, we had 470 degrees.
It doesn't last very long because it's a bubbler system. And you always have to compensate for the variance in pressure because when it bubbles off, it gets colder, so the pressures are always changing. That's why I'm always adjusting the valves. It's not designed to run at a extended time. Usually if I want to do that, I'll hook up a smaller carburetor to it. This is just for demonstration purposes only to see that it can run on various types of liquids.
Without emissions.
Without emissions.
It transmute elements. That's what it is.
So there you go. I don't know if Aaron's got something else.
So just stay tuned. We have a commercial product that's going to be rolled over, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah.
We're going to come over this way now.
Oh, we're going to go over there?
Are you ready for another one? Okay. We're going to turn over this way. The camera, you got to get close to talk to it.
Hey, one thing I didn't say when I was up with Paul is we first started with water, mostly water and gas, and I talked to Paul and he said that people don't want to buy that yet, so he encouraged us to focus on gasoline only and to build a system based on that. And if you'll notice down here, we have, well, our goal is to provide a dual reactor, one for future upgrades. If somebody here wants to put a bubbler on or something that we'll come out with later, that you can take the existing system and just pipe it in and run on some other alternative fuel. So that's anybody that gets one, that's what you're going to be getting as a base unit, is one that'll have a dual reactor, of which one of them is hopefully later will be used for some other type of fuel. All right? Any questions?
Sorry, Steve, what fuel is this? What does it do now?
Right now, I will say in Houston, Texas, this generator came rated at 3,250 watts from the manufacturer. This week we are running 3,200. It's probably around 3,250. We use a calibrated watt meter to test, so that this 500 watt light, even though it says 500 watts, really doesn't do 500. It might do 420 or 370. So when we say it does 3,000 or 3,200, it's been tested through a meter that actually tells us what the consumption rate is.
What's it getting at altitude, Steve?
We haven't officially tested it yet.
Okay.
We had some issues this morning. We went, in Houston, it runs best with a 5 horsepower carburetor. Up here, we finally switched because we brought a lot of carburetors with us. We put a 3 horsepower on there and it ran a lot better. So I'm not sure, honestly, how well it's going to run right this moment, but we know with a little time we could probably get it to full power. In Houston, it does run at full power at sea level. So.
Is it on gas right now or not?
Yes, sir, Mr. Fielder. Just gas.
Thank you.
Another quick statement. We do have an automatic air mix valve that we're just not going to show you right this second. We'll show anybody else later. So we may do some manual adjusting here, and then we can show you. We do have one in the trailer here that automatically runs off the vacuum. get his pyrometer and come back. But a little while ago, we have a lot more expensive carbon monoxide tester coming. They just didn't get in time here for us to leave for the show, but Jeff bought this little one at Lowe's the other day. And earlier today, what we put it up against, we have an exact model over here that was producing about 900 to 999 parts per million. And this one here is producing about 240 to 310. So it's about 3 times less on the emissions that it's cleaning up.
If you folks can keep it down a little, please.
Yeah, brand spanking new. There you go. Show more heat coming out of the dryer than the exhaust.
Any other questions? Y'all want to see the heat change difference?
A couple of things we'll show you are the difference in we can run just a standard generator and show you the difference of the heat coming out of the exhaust. We'll show you how hot this heat gun will be compared to this exhaust. And then we can also show you the almost absence of carbon monoxide versus just the ambient air and the reading that will come out of the exhaust of this generator because of GEET.
So this one's going to run 3 times longer with the GEET system than with the normal carbon, like on the same amount of fuel?
3 times? No.
Yeah.
No, we've been able to average.
Question?
He wanted to know the run times compared to if a gallon of gas will run about 3 hours, what we'll do with it GEETed, just gas. We've been able to achieve anywhere from between 20 to 50% increase in productivity right at this moment. And so Paul has verified at his lab, we were like 45%.
Yeah, 45, 47% on almost every test.
So,
Why aren't we running only gasoline in that unit?
We're politically friendly, running gasoline only right now. Once we get our foothold in the door, this is built with a dual reactor. It could be switched at any time.
Okay, so that has the capability.
It has the capability right now.
Very easily, you don't have to be able to weld or do any fabrication.
You plan to switch it or not?
well, the gas only is Paul asked us to just do gas only for the dealers. And so that's where the gas only came from. It wasn't where we started, but we really do want to build something that the dealers can buy wholesale, a finished product that they can turn around and resell, and that would be easier for the public to accept.
If that's if the dealers say that unanimously, then do it. I'm not going to hold back the dealers. I want sales to be made. So if we can run this one again and do that heat test while you're doing that, I'm going to check out the exhaust, see how visible it is. Exhaust. Yeah, 440 degrees from the heat gun. Steve, so why don't you explain what Paul just did, that the exhaust actually runs cooler with a GEET technology than a hairdryer. Yeah. So to go from 220 degrees coming out of the exhaust pipe here to 440 on the heater. Now we're going to fire this one up and hold it back over for about 30 seconds to see what we get.
Move it closer.
Paul,
Okay.
is that one
Wait, I'll
GEETed?
do that too.
Paul, is
No,
that
this
one-
is factory.
Move it closer. That one's factory.
Factory.
Okay.
Move it closer.
Can you move it?
Jeff,
I can.
we have a wheel that's about ready to come off on this.
Oh.
But it can be moved.
So you'll be throwing them over your shoulder. Harder to start.
Factory.
Is this run on?
Is it turned on? Should be.
Wait.
Thank you.
We already know it's a 440.
I think the temperature get on this. What was the temperature on that?
Now it's getting up to high. 376. Almost twice the temperature. So we are getting a lot less heat, better combustion, smells better, and I can put my hand on this one, on that one there. I couldn't hold it there long enough.
Right.
So we're getting a lot less heat with this GEET. This will give you a longer life on the engine when the engine runs colder.
Do you want to do this or just do the test? We recorded all this earlier.
Okay. Earlier today, it was recorded. Tell them what the readings were.
Earlier today, we recorded off of this one between 900 and 999, which is where this maxes out, parts per million of carbon monoxide. On this one, we were as low as 240, and we probably did half a dozen tests. A high of 320. The last one we did it started about 270, and then as it warmed up, it actually dropped to like 270, 265, all the way down to 240.
And it's reading the air right now at 227. So that's your base point for the 240.
How hard is it to do a test right now?
Not hard.
What are you doing for fun?
It beeps really loud, so just kind of, you know.
Okay. Let's see. Right now it's reading 301, so I must be picking up a little bit from this already.
We got our baseline earlier in the grass by the tree. It was 227. Not healthy. If you look up you look up information on the internet, the biggest culprit of death in small engines is a generator. People want to run them in their garage so they don't have to go out in the rain to put more gas in them when their power's out and whatnot, and they die from carbon monoxide.
So the number was 999 here?
999.
And what was it over there? Just now?
310 tops.
310 tops in the high 200s
so
right now.
This was more than 3 times more.
Right.
And if anybody would like, we can send you, we found a report from the U.S. government talking about generators are the #1 cause of death amongst small engine device items that are considered tools.
Right now the air is saying 295.
And it's more efficient.
Just standing here.
Even if it's
So and this was about.
It's clean.
Yep.
It's very
even if
Group shot. Come close.
Final round. Is that right?
Okay, this is the GEET team of the people who built the units you just watched. Here they are.
You guys are great.
All right, what a team, yeah!
Thank you.
That was great. That was really great.
Cut it off. Questions? Advise when you cut it. That's a wrap. Ladies and gentlemen. Okay, the festivities are ready to commence over there. We're gonna go over there for about 45 minutes. Please be considerate for the folks in front of you in line. There's only so much food because we're going for a short period of time. So make sure you leave some for everybody else. If you go straight to